I want to go back to the Carter administration. The only individual in that administration who understood what could be the consequences of such a regime taking over was Zbigniew Brzezinski. In fact, I remember the discussion I had with him because I happened to be at the White House on my birthday, October 31, 1978.
Wow. You're at the White House October 31st, 1978.
I flew up from Ries Air Force Base. That's where I was training. I came to Washington. I had a short meeting with President Carter, and we had a longer discussion at the time with our ambassador at the time, Ardeshir Zahedi, and we were together with Zbigniew Brzezinski. The rest of Cyrus Vance, Gary Sick, Clark, all of those guys were completely on this premise of let's create a religious belt to contain communism from spreading into the area. That was the theory of the Carter administration. So backing Khomeini, creating a religious belt like a dam to protect the region from the communism to gain influence in the area, namely the Soviet Union. Little did they know that at the time the KGB had over 40,000 Iranians under their control, many of them dressed as mullahs, leading prayers in Mashhad and Isfahan and other countries. They already had their influence. They were already there.
Did your father know? Did he already know or no?
Didn't he warn so many governments that if I go, Iran will become Iranistan? It was not less than a year after he left that the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. I mean, look at the whole downfall, the domino effect that it took. But that was the leading theory of the Carter administration at the time, containing communism. When that backfired, and Saddam took advantage of a weakness of the Iranian military because most of their heads were being executed by the revolutionary regimes. Many of our officers, our best officers, were executed. And he thought that it would be a preventive attack vis-a-vis Iran, who was trying to already gain territory, which propelled us in the war. But the reason you had a problem with Saddam Hussein, mind you, many years later, when you had the Desert Shield and Desert Storm and the invasion of Kuwait, was because of Iran in the first place. Let's not forget that part. So when today you see that the same degree of weakness that Carter showed at the time, and today you see the same signals of weakness vis-a-vis this clerical regime to embolden them to go further, it's pretty much the same rationale. It's a continuation of the same rationale.
You know, it's interesting. Nixon in his book said he would have preferred for the Shah to have been more brutal. And he even said this in a book, and he said it in an interview as well. But can you pull up the clip, Rob, of President Ronald Reagan, what he said? There's two clips. If you can just play both of these clips, go for it.
The degree of unpopularity of a regime when the choice is total authoritarianism, totalitarianism, I should say, in the alternative government, makes one wonder whether you are being helpful to the people. And we've been guilty of that. Because someone didn't meet exactly our standards of human rights, even though they were an ally of ours, instead of trying patiently to persuade them to change their ways, we have, in a number of instances, aided a revolutionary overthrow which results in complete totalitarianism instead for those people. And I think that this is a kind of a hypocritical policy when at the same time we're maintaining a détente with the one nation in the world where there are no human rights at all, the Soviet Union.
I did criticize
you can pause that right there. That's for the audience. That's a 1980 presidential debate. Depends on what platform you listen to this, whether it's Spotify or podcast or YouTube. He's calling out Carter in this debate. And then the second part is even clearer than this one. If you can play the second one.
I did criticize the president because of our undercutting of what was a stalwart ally, the Shah of Iran. And I am not at all convinced that he was that far out of line with his people, or that they wanted that to happen. The Shah had done our bidding and carried our load in the Middle East for quite some time. And I did think that it was a blot on our record that we let him down. Have things gotten better? The Shah, whatever he might have done, was building low-cost housing, had taken land away from the mullahs and was distributing it to the peasants so they could be landowners, things of that kind. But we turned it over to a maniacal fanatic who has slaughtered thousands and thousands of people, calling it executions.
And by the way, you can, when you're watching this, when he's saying fanatical thousands, some people may say, well, Patrick, there's no way Reagan is saying that. Can you go to the Washington Post story from 1980? It's a Washington Post story from 1979. I want to say it's February. Okay, that's the one. Iran calls executions just the beginning. Can you show the logo at the top so people know that's WAPO? Go all the way to the top so they can see that's Washington Post. Zoom in, article February 1779. Iran calls executions just the beginning. Tehran says 4 executions are beginning of the purge. They use the word purge. They're cleaning the streets of Iran. People of opposing religions, or not even opposing religions, Baha'is were being killed left and right. Military personnel were being killed left and right. One of the colonels, I want to say he was a colonel, maybe a general, Rahimi, I think he was, when he came into the court, and they had Khomeini's picture on the wall, and he said, you guys have to take that picture down, put the Shah's picture, because he was saluting it. They cut his arms. One of the most famous performers in Iran, Farrokhzadeh, I think that was his name, if I'm not saying his name correctly. You know who I'm talking about. The gentleman who was he was like the Jimmy Fallon or the Jimmy Kimmel. He was found in his hotel in Germany, killed left and right. By the way, try being gay in Iran right now for the people that are the liberal leftists that would like to see that taking place in Iran. Go see what happens to you in Iran if you walk around saying, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. Matter of fact, why don't you start a social media campaign and say, let's go and protest in Iran in the streets today and with rainbow flags. See what they'll do to you. It's a very good market research. It won't last a long time because you'll be meeting St. Peter or whoever your God is very quickly if you do something like that. Even Reagan gave credit to your father on what he was doing in Iran, saying he was doing our job. You know, sometimes when people criticize Israel, Netanyahu, they'll say, look, at least Netanyahu's not calling us saying, send us, 50,000 soldiers or send us this. Zelensky is coming. He's the greatest money manager of all time, campaigner, raising money of all time. Give me another 40 billion. Give me another 20 billion. If you don't, your kids are going to go. Your kids are going to go. At least Netanyahu's doing his own thing. Okay, he's not asking for help. Iran at the time, they're like, we'll handle this problem ourselves with issues surrounding the Middle East. But when you see Reagan saying that in the 1980 debate, then, he gets elected. The moment he does, within minutes, Khomeini releases prisoners of war because they had that level of fear with them. Do you think our current president is more of a Jimmy Carter or more of a Ronald Reagan comparison, who we have today?
It's interesting you say this because it just popped in my mind something that is quite telling, and that is on this whole final release of the hostages in the Iranian embassy in Tehran. There's something similar in the sense that, the left here has been criticizing the Trump administration of pulling out from JCPOA, and that was the reason to, in fact, increase the rate of enrichment and all that. The fact is that it was not until 2 days after the new administration, now in place in Washington, won the elections that they started enriching, not before.
Wow.
It's a little bit of a parallel between
very much so,
the release of the hostages. What I'm trying to say here is that whether it was at previous time for those who were in opposition to the previous regime, and now they are in power after the revolution, the reaction to strength coming from the outside is one and the same. As much as they saw that Carter is weak in not supporting the Shah, that emboldened the opposition against my father at the time, and the fact that now they're in power, the same weakness that America is now demonstrating is again emboldening them. As opposed to in the past 4 decades, every time America showed strength, they stepped back, they pulled away. There's a direct correlation between the two.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.